I thought this was interesting, so I'll read it to you and then see what we can make of it. The mind's default position is to try to dominate experience. It wants to run the show. One of its main strategies is to make feeling seem like a problem, something inconvenient, overwhelming, or even dangerous. But this is utterly false. Feeling is primary. It arises before thought, and it expresses the truth of our being directly. When the mind resists feeling, it resists reality. Mind was never meant to lead. Its proper role is to serve being, to articulate, clarify, and support what arises from the deeper field of awareness. When mind forgets this and serves only itself, it constructs a private world of fear and division. When mind rests in service to being, life becomes clear, intimate, and undivided. Mind is not the enemy, but mind unleashed, mind in service to itself is a big problem to the individual and to the collective and to humanity at large. Because mind wants to deny, override feeling nature. And so we're caught up in a culture of denying feeling nature. And as long as we deny feeling nature, we're going to gravitate towards mind. Feeling nature is a direct relationship, a direct way of moving in the world. We feel things. We're feeling creatures. It gets overshadowed, swallowed up, our feeling nature, by emotion, by old emotion, by past emotion, by carried grievances, by carried wounds. And we turn those into mind things, into mind memes, into mind beliefs, thoughts, stories, narratives. And then between the two of them, mind and unresolved emotions, feeling, true feeling, gets a bad rap, is negative, negated. Mind doesn't want to go into the true feeling nature because then it feels, it thinks it's got no purpose. But its purpose ultimately is only self-sustaining. At a certain point, mind itself needs to fall into heart, fall into feeling, so that there's a synthesis and mind stops being the driver of the bus and starts being the useful navigator in some way, the servant of the bus, not the big driver of the bus, because that just doesn't work for us. It gets us into all sorts of trouble, because while we're in touch and living from our feeling nature, then that feeling nature is our very aliveness. It brings us into a tenderness, a kindness, a compassion, a grace, a gratitude, and a clarity, and an intuition, and a knowing. It's actually the true intelligence of ourselves. But that intelligence is hijacked or reinterpreted by mind as being mind's intelligence. But we're far deeper than mind's intelligence when we allow something to open. I guess the real invitation in a way of this is for something to open, to clear up the backlog of past wounds, hurts, traumas, grievances, held, that come into this present moment. And as we clear those and clear that up, by and by, we come more in touch with our direct feeling nature. What is happening now? How do you feel now? Now. Not what do you think now. That's just the description. But it's not the feeling. The feeling nature is the intimacy with existence. The feeling nature is the direct feeling. And we have to try and get to that and not let mind interpret it as, oh, well, that's really scary, that's terrifying, that's dangerous, this is the unknown, we don't go to the unknown, we don't like that place. Of course mind doesn't like the unknown, because there's nothing for it to do there. It can't wrap it up, can't box up the unknown. And it'll have a good go by trying to describe it in some way, but that's futile. The mind can't go where feeling nature is. It has to be left behind. And of course that renders the whole thing, the whole of the conditioned organism, entity, kind of apprehensive or even scared or anxious. But don't be frightened, don't be scared, don't be anxious. Go into the feeling nature without the overlay, direct. Tears, yes. Anger, yes. Heat, whatever it is that arises. All of this, is part of the feeling nature. We've got to learn to trust this. It's only the denial of it that, or the avoidance of it over the years that has created the backlog and the problem of feeling or thinking like it's a scary place to go to. But that's a kind of trick of the conditioned mind mechanism. There's not so much to be scared of in getting in touch with our true feeling nature, because that's who we are. And if that's who we really are and what we really are, then avoiding it is going to create more problems than falling into it. There's kind of a certain natural logic in that. It calls us all the time, and yet we walk around as if trying to avoid it, even though it's calling us all the time, in hidden and overt and all sorts of ways. And then on the spiritual journey, the volume of the call gets turned up, especially if you hang around with us or any teacher who's any good in a certain way. The call of the direct, true you is going to get louder. So it should. And then you have to face the endless kind of choices in a way. Going into it despite the fear, the unknown, the sense that, I don't know what this is or how this is going to feel, or staying out. By and by, the call is irresistible as the flame calls the moth, and the moth eventually gives itself to the flame. Should fate carry it in that way, may take a night, may take longer, who knows, but eventually the moth gives itself to the flame. Eventually, in some way or other, speaking poetically, we all give ourselves to the flame. This is what death is. So the direct path, the direct feeling nature path, the path of living from the direct feeling nature, where mind stops being the one who runs the show, starts being the servant of the show in a good way, in a positive way, because it's a very, very beautiful servant and a very, very, I caution using the word demonic, but maybe over zealous master of the show.